Coming up, Iran's Trump assassination plot. Why it happened, what they're hiding, and how this growing crisis in the Middle East is exploding out of control. Israel, Iran and Hezbollah are now in a deadly conflict, with the potential of nuclear weapons changing our world forever. How did we get here? What happens next? And what does it mean for biblical prophecy?
This is an emergency alert from Jerusalem, Israel. We are interrupting all broadcasts and media. A nuclear attack against Israel is imminent. The current threat level is critical. Immediately proceed to the nearest underground bunker. Your survival depends on your adherence to these instructions.
It can't happen, you know that. But they also said Iran would never directly attack Israel.
Major escalation of the crisis in the Middle East. Iran has started a direct attack on Israel by launching dozens of drones to attack targets there. Israel says its armed forces are on full alert with combat planes in the air. Iran has said it wants revenge.
Israel has been under siege for years, attacked in all directions by Iran's proxies, and the United States has told Israel to hold its peace for years. But now, these attacks have escalated into the beginning of an all-out war. Hezbollah in Lebanon, backed by Iran, has sent thousands of missiles into northern Israel in recent times, and most of these attacks go unreported. How did we get here? Leaders like Obama, Biden and Harris thought Iran could be restrained by concessions, but Netanyahu and Trump say all of these concessions have emboldened Iran to deepen its attacks on Israel.
كما قلت وفي كل مرة أكرر إن دماء الأطفال والنساء والشيوخ نحن الذين نحتاج هذه الدماء لكي توقظ فينا روح الثورة.
Iran, its proxies are concentrated in Lebanon, Yemen, Syria, Iraq, and elsewhere. Lebanon. Hezbollah in Lebanon is backed by Iran and work to further its interests, especially against their arch-rival Israel. Now to Syria, where Iran's regional impact is huge. Tehran has provided Assad's regime with billions of dollars and thousands of troops. Iran's proxies are not limited to these groups. There's a whole region known as the Shia Crescent, an arc of Iranian influence with large Shia populations reaching from Saudi Arabia to Lebanon.
Around 80,000 Israelis have been evacuated from border villages because they are being hit by missiles and anti-tank fire every day. In Israel now, many people will tell you that it is when, not if, they go to war with Hezbollah.
Lebanon has Syria, borders with Syria. Syria has borders with Iraq. Iraq has borders with Iran, and therefore the ability for Iran to supply it with weapons.
The Center for Strategic and International Studies calls Hezbollah the most heavily armed non-state military in the world, and upwards of 150,000 short, medium, and long-range rockets.
This whole thing was designed and built in preparation for the next conflict. A car park in peacetime, a fortified hospital during war.
This door is a door of 24 tons that we can close, and this is also protection for chemical warfare.
Iran has been ramping up pressure on Israel, attacking them daily through their proxies. And all the time, Iran has been trying to develop nuclear weapons. And now as Iran gets closer to nuclear weapons, the next president of the United States, Trump or Harris, may have to make a decision that will affect if Israel as a nation survives.
Are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
Hi! Can we talk on it? Yes. How close is this to becoming a regional conflict that could draw in U.S. troops?
We have absolutely no intention, nor do we have any plans to send combat troops.
She told us the U.S. wants to keep the conflict from escalating, but that's proving difficult. In the last 2 weeks, Hezbollah in Lebanon and the Houthis in Yemen, both proxies of Iran, have launched missiles, rockets, and drones against Israel. And Iranian-backed militias have fired on U.S. troops stationed in Iraq and Syria.
We start this out with the breaking news. The Palestinian militant group Hamas has said its political leader, Ismail Haniyeh, has been killed in Iran.
We meet today at a crossroads of history. Our world is in upheaval. In the Middle East, Iran's axis of terror confronts America, Israel, and our Arab friends.
Blocking their route to the capital where Netanyahu was speaking were miles of barricades backed by thousands of officers. The march stalling at Union Station, where protesters began pulling American flags down from the flagpoles. Officers moved in and were swarmed by the crowd.
The flag there on the ground was on the flagpole here at Union Station a few moments ago, but protesters here lit it on fire, as well as that effigy of Benjamin Netanyahu.
When you see people burning the U.S. flag outside of Union Station in Washington, D.C., and replacing it with a Palestinian flag, the same flag that the Hamas terrorists were wearing on their vests when they invaded Israel, I was disappointed, particularly by Vice President Kamala Harris's decision to boycott this speech. I thought that it bespoke significant hostility on her part going forward.
Kamala Harris stabbed Israel in the back in its great hour of need. 2 days ago, she refused to attend the speech in Congress of the Prime Minister of Israel. She said, I can't make it. Together with Joe Biden, she gave billions and billions of dollars to Iran and Hamas to fund their campaigns of terror. She gave them billions of dollars. She betrayed America's ally and sided with the radical fringe of her party. And this week, many of those Kamala Harris supporters burned American flags in the heart of our nation's capital and desecrated our monuments. Unlike liberal Kamala, I will support Israel's right to win its war on terror. You have to support that.
We have to stay woke. Like, everybody needs to be woke. And you can talk about if you're the wokest or woker, but just stay more woke than less woke. Yeah.
And instead of pandering to the jihad sympathizers and America-hating radicals, we will deport them.
Some carried flags of the genocidal group ISIS. Others pulled down and burned American flags while hoisting Palestinian flags in their place.
Harris's instinct is not to be pro-Israel. Now, she's made some pro-Israel statements over the years, but this decision to go to a sorority event rather than listen to the Prime Minister of Israel during a war in which Israel is under attack from almost every single possible side, this tells us a lot about who Kamala Harris is.
Trump's case is that weakness in the United States has strengthened Iran and led to countless attacks and the growing threat of an Iranian nuclear weapon threatening Israel with annihilation.
And the war caused by the attack on Israel, Iran was broke. Iran had no money. Now Iran has $250 billion. They made it all over the last 2.5 years. They were broke, and they took off all the sanctions, and they did everything possible for Iran. And now Iran is very close to having a nuclear weapon. I tell you this, we want our hostages back, and they better be back before I assume office, or you will be paying a very big price.
Trump has committed total support for Israel and refuses to allow any attempt at annihilation of the Jews to happen again.
The mind cannot fathom the pain, the horror, and the loss. 6 million Jews, 2/3 of the Jews in Europe, murdered by the Nazi genocide. We mourn, we remember, we pray, and we pledge never again, I say it, never again.
But this is not a battle against flesh and blood, but against principalities in the heavenly realms that do not want Israel to survive, nor for the messianic prophecies to be fulfilled. Close to 2,500 years ago in Persia, modern-day Iran, Haman committed himself to destroying all the Jews in the Persian Empire. But God called Esther and Mordecai to intercede on behalf of the Jews for their survival. But the cost was high, and both were threatened with death for standing with God's will. God's plan is outworked through people who side with the Lord against the hidden evil in this world. And that's why the spirit of Haman always attacks the people that God is using, including those in the political realm who support Israel without bitter conditions attached. The devil is ever seeking to kill, steal and destroy the Mordecais and Esthers who stand with Israel against evil.
Several Republican members of Congress have directly blamed President Biden, the Democrats, and the media for the assassination attempt. They claim it was the result of overheated rhetoric about Trump and part of a campaign to jeopardize his safety.
Be stuck in an elevator with either President Trump, Mike Pence, or Jeff Sessions. Who would it be? Does one of us have to come out alive?
Donald Trump, I think you need to go back and then punch him in the face.
But I thought he should have punched him in the face.
I feel like punching you.
Fundamentally, a second Trump term could mean the end of American democracy as we know it.
Nobody comes, I'm going to punch him out. This is my moment. I've been waiting for this. I'm going to punch him out, and I'm going to go to jail, and I'm going to be happy.
I have thought an awful lot about blowing up the White House.
When was the last time an actor assassinated a president? You have released the whirlwind, and you will pay the price.
Show me where it says that protests are supposed to be polite and peaceful.
We're in high school. I'd take you behind the gym and beat the hell out of him.
And I mean this from the bottom of my heart. Trump is a threat to this nation.
This is just a warning to you Trumpers. Be careful. Walk lightly. And for those of you who are soldiers, make them pay.
I will go and take Trump out tonight. You're still going to have to go out and put a bullet in Donald Trump.
Begin with criticism, then you go to protest, then you go to impeachment, now you go to indictment, and none of them work. What's next? I mean, graph it out, man. We're speeding toward assassination, obviously.
This is divine intervention. This is the God having his protective hand and wearing Ephesians 6, the armor of God over the president, because this right here, a millisecond or a millimeter in change, and this isn't an attempted assassination. This is an assassination of a president.
Intelligence community, they have 6 ways from Sunday at getting back at you. So even for a practical, supposedly hard-nosed businessman, he's being really dumb to do this.
I went to the roof of the AGR building where the assailant fired shots, and I laid in a prone position to evaluate his line of sight. What I saw made me ashamed. As a career law enforcement officer and a 25-year veteran with the Secret Service, I cannot defend why that roof was not better secured.
A Democratic White House contender Robert Kennedy Jr. blaming the CIA for assassinating his uncle, former President John F. Kennedy, back on November 22nd, 1963.
There's a 6-year cover-up. Congress found that, yeah, it was a plot. It was a conspiracy. There were multiple people involved.
مرگ بر آمریکا یعنی مرگ بر ترامپ.
It has since been confirmed by national security agencies that they have uncovered a plot by Iran's regime to assassinate Donald Trump. They, of course, relayed that information to Secret Service agents ahead of the rally in Butler, Pennsylvania last week. They stress at this stage in their investigations they can see no link.
We've done thousands of counter-sniper operations with our teams in Iraq and Afghanistan, etc. The amount of negligence, the amount of mistakes that was made here, I have a very difficult time.
But it's one thing if someone on the street says it. It's not, I mean, you, Corey Mills, member of Congress, former sniper, you saying it, I mean, it makes my eyebrows go up. When you say you're walking the line on this, intentional what?
For an individual, if you looked at the escalations and how they had tried to approach him, let's just say that it was like, okay, first we want to censor and silence you, then we want to indict and imprison you. Now we're attempting to kill you and take you off the stage.
You, let's slow down.
Please.
There was a miracle. There was a miracle that happened, a big miracle. And Mr. Trump knows it, and his followers know it, and people all around him know that there was a miracle there. When a person has a miracle, they have to be thankful. For the nation of Israel, miracles are our family business. For 4,000 years, we've been experiencing miracles.
We come before you this evening with grateful hearts. Thank you for saving the life of President Donald J. Trump.
I stand before you in this arena only by the grace of Almighty God.
The Bible says the whole world lies under the sway of the wicked one, who is called the prince of the power of the air, the spirit who now works in the sons of disobedience. In every spiritual struggle in this world, evil is looking for a channel to work through. Evil is ever looking for a new Haman to destroy Israel, and God is looking for the new Esthers and Mordecais to stand with God's will in this world. The Iran nuclear deal and other concessions have strengthened Iran's hand in its attempt to destroy Israel and God's plans for it.
On a very consistent basis, I receive classified briefings about the threats to our nation's security. And on the list of potential threats, especially in terms of nuclear threat, North Korea is, of course, on that list, and Iran is on that list.
Would President Harris fix the problem?
Well, frankly, I believe that we need to get back into the Iran nuclear deal.
Giving $6 billion to the world's leading state sponsor of terrorism, just as when Obama sent the Iranian regime pallets of cash, Biden's ransom payment will be immediately used to stoke violence, bloodshed, and mayhem throughout the Middle East and all around the world, costing countless innocent lives.
President Biden is warning Israel U.S. policy towards its staunch ally will change. The direct message coming during a phone call between the president and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu.
And in the past few months, the administration has been withholding weapons and ammunition to Israel. Israel, America's closest ally, fighting for its life, fighting against Iran and our other common enemies. During World War II, Churchill told the United States, give us the tools, we'll do the job. And I say, give us the tools and we'll finish the job.
Having the breakout capacity of producing fissile material for a nuclear weapon is now probably 1 or 2 weeks away from doing that. They haven't produced a weapon itself, but that's something, of course, that we track very, very carefully. Those two things together, the fissile material, an explosive device, and you have a nuclear weapon.
When will the lesson be learned? How many more dictators must be wooed, appeased before we learn? You cannot reason with a tiger when your head is in its mouth.
Iran is edging the world closer to a crisis unlike anything ever seen in the Middle East, with the Hezbollah war attacking the north of Israel and the promise from Iran that it will take any chance it can to annihilate Israel. The spirit of Haman has arisen again in the nuclear age, and Netanyahu is clear. Whatever the cost, they will never allow Iran to develop a nuclear weapon that could be used against Israel.
Israel fights Hamas, we're fighting Iran. When we fight Hezbollah, we're fighting Iran. When we fight the Houthis, we're fighting Iran. And when we fight Iran, we're fighting the most radical and murderous enemy of the United States of America. And one more thing. When Israel acts to prevent Iran from developing nuclear weapons that could destroy Israel and threaten every American city, every city that you come from, we're not only protecting ourselves, we're protecting you.
That was Benjamin Netanyahu's way of telling the United States that after years of patiently being attacked and restraint, Israel will destroy Iran's nuclear site on its own if it has to, and Israel will do anything necessary to avoid the following from taking place.
This is an emergency alert from Jerusalem, Israel. We are interrupting all broadcasts and media. This is not a drill. A nuclear attack against Israel is imminent. The current threat level is critical. Immediately proceed to the nearest underground bunker and prepare for a prolonged wait. Nuclear strikes cause deadly dust known as fallout, which will affect everyone. You will not be allowed to leave your location for at least 14 days. The defense systems of Israel, the United States, and Great Britain are engaging the threat, but the likelihood of intercepting all nuclear missiles is limited. Stay in your shelter and listen for further instructions. I repeat, this is not a drill. A nuclear strike is imminent. Your survival depends on your adherence to these instructions.